Ladies and gentlemen, where's the old song back in the day, Spoonie? Dom, old Timberland and Aaliyah. What, been a long time? We shouldn't have left you. No beat to step two. I would play it, but then YouTube would just be like, "Oh, we got to mute you. You can't have that. You won't get a copyright straight." But neither here nor there. It is draft season, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of things have been happening on our ends, just getting things coordinated, getting things done, handled up, whatnot. We're ready to see the rich game back in the building. We're ready to talk some drafts. Ooh, 'tis the season. With that being said, one time for the one time. Let's get the intro and build this thing up. Yeah, man. Yeah. Exciting times. Maybe not everything in Cowboys Nation is exciting, but the draft is always exciting. Maybe just a smidge of hopium, new faces to represent the star and hopefully get this team over the hump, right? Hopefully get this team over the hump. With that being said, Spody, outside of the rap problems, what's going on, my brother?
Oh, everything's fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. Happy, we back at it again, fellas. Draft day's here. This is the time where, all that time waiting at home, doing 50 mock draft, discussing what the Cowboys are gonna do, try to, beat Sherlock Holmes. And what does Steve Jones mean here? What does he mean there? So now we're finally a week away, and it's about time we put down our pens and pencils. And let's just see what the Cowboys do on draft night. I'm happy.
Big tip for my guy. C-Max says, I know joke was just looking yesterday to see if the channel was still around. We're still here. We just had a lot of business on Twitter /X, and we just had to get things lined up and do some things to get back over to the channel and get rocking. But we're back in full effect. Obviously, we're doing some draft content now. If y'all know and y'all follow us, we do the live draft every single day during the draft. We will absolutely be ready to bring you the drive live as it's happening. Officially moved the Dallas from Falcon. Very, very good. Yeah, man, I got you. I got your back. Dom! Well, you've been hard at work on this draft thing. How we doing, brother?
For some of these players, it's been 3 years in the making. And now it's their time to realize their dreams. And so I'm all here for that, ready to see how this thing unfolds. Honestly, it's been draft fatigue with this class. I'm already ready, looking forward to 2025, but we need this draft to actually unfold.
Indeed. But some of the fatigue is just what's happened in Cowboys land, right? Whatever, the all in and all, however that went, obviously how it ended. Against Green Bay. All right, we haven't been around to talk about it. We're not going to be here too long on that. But then just how things have kind of, unfolded throughout the process for the Cowboys. They just signing the running back, man. Royce Freeman, right? That's only the second outside free agent they've brought into the Star of Frisco, if you will. And some other contracts haven't been done. The CeeDee Lambs of the world, the Dak Prescotts of the world, even the Micah, who you can, get a contract extension done now since he's completed 3 seasons. So yeah, it's a little frustrating on Cowboys land front, Cowboys Nation, and how they've been. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it's time to kind of get back and have some good news to talk about and really get into it. So as we're getting through this thing, Wrench Gang in the building. What's good, Wrench Gang? As we're getting into this, for tonight's exercise, we're talking about the draft in general. Simply this. We're not going to worry too much about the future. We're not going to worry about what hasn't been signed or Stephen Jones out here more recently talking about what he expects, more 3 linebackers versus 3 safeties and bigger personnel and all those things. That's not what we're going to look at. What we're really going to concentrate on is this draft and what's available to them, how the Cowboys have made moves ultimately, and how they can accomplish or what they can accomplish in the first 3 rounds. And then we will run a mock draft here live tonight. And we'll get in the war room and battle it out some. Make sure everybody in the chat, stick around for that part. We're definitely going to hear from y'all. What are y'all thinking as we're discussing in the war room as well? So let's kick it off first and foremost. Didn't do a lot. in free agency, right? We kind of understand that. But you got a linebacker, key point, and you got a running back. Right now, that's kind of covering your bases to a certain extent, Dom, and how we kind of see them typically move every single year of adding a guy here or there, maybe a bridge gap guy, just something where they can try to let the board fall to them, in the way that they need to. I think a big key was them retaining Jordan Lewis, so you have your slot there, of course. So looking at that, let's go through the first, as this roster is currently constructed, what they've had and what they've lost. To you, what are the top 3 positions the Cowboys need to nail in this draft?
Yeah, I think number 1 is defensive tackle. They have to find a way to bring in a defensive tackle. Now, when it happens, I will debate that, because you do have to let the value match with the round that you're picking in, as well as the player that's available. But definitely defensive tackle. And then I would just cheat and say offensive line. Because
little combo action.
Yeah, because of what they already have in house and the versatility that's there. So they got to do O-line, and I think they need to do that pretty early. You got to figure out something at that left tackle spot and the center spot. And then third, of course, still linebacker would be up there for me. I think it barely edges running back out.
All right, Smith, I'll flip it to you. For you, what is the 3 biggest needs for this Cowboys team?
The 3 biggest
Getting into the draft.
For me, in no particular order, I'm gonna say wide receiver.
Okay.
Aside from CeeDee Lamb, you have a 1-year deal left with Brandon Cooks. You still have the experience with Brooks, the receiver, Jalen Brooks. And with Tolbert, he made some strides this year, but at the end of the day, we haven't seen him take that bigger step where you could trust him to have a bigger role in the offense. So I would say wide receiver is definitely a big need. As far as offensive line, we know the conversations we've been having with the interior. This is why Tyler Biadasz is no longer a Cowboy. He went on to Washington, but we don't know enough about Hoffman still. So and the one thing Jerry Jones always loved from the day he bought the Cowboys, we could go back in the past and look at how when he drafted offensive line, what was the more focal point? It's that interior. So in my opinion, that center, in my opinion, is a big need. There's a reason why they let Biadasz go. We haven't seen enough from Hoffman. So I'm thinking center will be within the first 2 picks in the NFL draft. And thirdly is what Dom said, defensive line. A lot of defensive line depth is no longer here, even though we may have guys that we got drafted last year. They went on IR, but we don't know enough of them to say, hey, these guys are trusted enough to get a better spot during the rotation. So, a guy like if they decide to go defensive line early, maybe a guy like Murphy or a guy like Newton from Illinois, who is definitely making some noise as far as in the Cowboys draft room. That's where I would go at. So wide receiver, offensive line, and defensive line.
Yeah, see, I disagree with wide receiver. As far as biggest needs, I'm not saying that it's not a need, but as biggest needs go, I think it's defensive tackle right out the gate. You got Monty Smith coming off of shoulder surgery, and obviously things that happened last year. A little bit of hoping from Stephen Jones when he's talking about in this scheme, and then openly admitting how Dan Quinn particularly wanted him to play the 1 tech isn't how he had played the 1 tech at Michigan. Big shock for everybody in the room, right? So, yeah, sure. But he's coming off of shoulder surgery. He's got to put some weight back on. Then you have Odighizuwa going to last year of his contract. And you got Carl Davis on the practice squad. Don't leave out Carl Davis. That's all you got right there, defensive tackle. So I think defensive tackle is a big need for this team, specifically when we talk about stopping the run, which, importantly, for over a decade, the Cowboys just haven't been able to stop the run efficiently enough. The next position for me, it has to be, to me, I think it's left tackle. I won't be a coward and come behind them. No, it's left tackle. And as much, and I've talked about it. Back in January, for those who follow me on X/Twitter, I've been on JPJ train. Out the gate, I was talking about that. I said, really, if you draw a line directly to the Cowboys' offensive line, right, it hasn't been the same since Travis Frederick left. But with that being said, with Tyler Smith leaving, and again, we're just looking at the construction of the roster right now, you have to make a decision when it comes to Tyler, right? And whether you're going to put him at left tackle, okay, let's say you put him at left tackle. You can kind of facilitate things a little bit more with a Bass and a Hoffman here. and I can go get you some guys later in the draft maybe to help you feel pretty good about that. But if their idea is he's going to be and continue to play an all-pro guard, hey, man, Dex Blindside has to be protected. As much as I would love to get a center, in this draft, and not saying that you can, we're just talking about earlier, right? Top 3 needs, first 3 rounds, not having a 4th round pick, has to be left tackle. So I'm D tackle, left tackle, and I'm probably going to go running back. I like the Royce Freeman signing more than Ronald Jones last year, but I think you got more in the Kendrick signing and the Overshown coming back at linebacker for me to put in at number 3. So for me, it would be running back. I think so. For me, my top 3 is D tackle, it's left tackle, and it's running back. Not that there's not holes all the way around this thing that need to be filled, no ifs, ands, or buts. No. But again, what we have to look at specifically is, with not having that 4th round pick, the Cowboys have 3 picks, right? And Don, you talked about kind of combining the center and left tackle. That's fair. That gets you to 4. Spoon, you brought up wide receiver. Guess what? That's getting you to 4. They only got 3. And that's where, for me, it gets a little sketchy in going out here and maybe taking. And this is a great draft, right? It's a great draft for wide receivers. Absolutely. It's a deep draft. All kinds of different flavors, potato chips that you want, even whatever you want to accomplish. But the Cowboys have put them in a position that I think is going to find themselves very hard to take a wide receiver in the first round because of some of the things that are projected.
Right.
Doesn't mean they won't do it, Dom. But I think it's a hard sell though to go running back, specifically in the first 3 rounds.
Right. Well, you just never say never because you never know what's going to be available. It's kind of like the CeeDee Lamb effect when he's sitting right there in your hands at 17, though he was number 6 on your board. So, right. To kind of steal from what our consensus board that we're going to reveal a little bit later, it would be kind of like that with a Adonai Mitchell, AD Mitchell from Texas, or a Keon Coleman from Florida State. Would they be there at 56? If they're there at 56 or an Xavier Worthy type, then that's just super value where I can debate and argue with myself and with you guys. And in a war room situation, that's where we're going to go, all right, well, would you rather have that or would you rather have T'Vondre Sweat or a 3rd rated linebacker on our board? Let's really talk. Who's really going to give us that significant impact that we need right now? Because we know last year's draft just didn't provide and produce for us early enough. We need to hit the ground running. And so a Keon Coleman, AD Mitchell, Xavier Worthy type, they would bring that instant impact that you think the team would need versus a linebacker who might be caught in a rotation or a running back that also might be in a bit of a rotation type. You just never know.
Yeah. I think it's hard for a rookie. Look, even though it is a need at wide receiver, I think it's going to be very hard for a rookie wide receiver to come in here and make way. Because I know everyone keeps talking about a number 2, and that's fine, right? Number 2 wide receiver, obviously Lamb and Cooks will be gone next year. But in the scheme, we saw it last year, even from year 2 Ferguson, number 2 targeted guy was Ferguson. So it's not just about Cooks and Tolbert. You had to put Ferguson into that mix as well, too. So it was a rookie. Let's go and look at, I love Kenyon Coleman. I mean, in any of the year for me, Kenyon Coleman at 56, I take my money. I'm ready for that. But now I just kind of look at it. What kind of impact is he going to have? Is he going to jump Cooks? I probably not. Sure, he can get over Tolbert. That's fine. Yeah, he can get over Tolbert, perhaps. But how much of an impact is he going to have? See, if we're talking about, for me, an impactful guy that you would get a wide receiver, to me, is a different type of wide receiver. See, like Xavier Worthy, you're bringing speed. You're bringing the speed element into the game, right? Maybe there's ways you could take advantage of his speed more than some of these other guys. Makai Corley, that another guy that's talked about, but what is he able to do with the ball in a sense, the way that you can be creative in getting him the ball as well, right? So maybe there's more opportunities to do things for him within the scheme. So that's for me, Spoon, where I just kind of land like, I'd love to get one of these wide receivers. Absolutely. But I don't know about how the roster is currently constructed, the impact of it. I understand the long-term play, but again, the holes that you have specifically early on makes it hard.
No, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you put in there Jake Ferguson as the number 2 option. It kind of tells you, should we have to rush for a rookie receiver in the first 2 picks where he's not going to get that instant that impact. Once you set Ferguson, it was like, you know what? Slide him to the 3rd, to the 4th, or the 5th. It's not an urgency need. But I want to ask y'all this: with the Royce Freeman deal, even though it's a better deal than the Ronald Jones, do you guys feel? And I'm not saying that you change your running back plans, but does it change the urgency to get them a little bit lower than higher? Because now that you added Royce Freeman, does it tell you, you know what? Maybe we don't need to get a running back in the 2nd round. We can wait to the 3rd or the 4th round because we got Royce Freeman. Let's address something else that we need to fill up these holes.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of talked about it on the space the other night. I think this kind of covers themselves to where they can sit and wait maybe the 3rd round. I also too, and I mean, just history kind of tells us and dictates this. I don't think Jonathan Brooks is going to be on the board when the Cowboys pick at 56. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be there. I think the Cowboys kind of understand that too, and I'm not going to be surprised if him and say another running back isn't going to be there. It's not going to surprise me if 2 running backs go before the Cowboys pick at 56, to be honest with you. Whether the other one's Trey Benson or maybe it's right out of Tennessee. So I think the Cowboys with that signing can wait to the 3rd round. I think when we look at their needs and where they're at and where they're positioned, right? It's not linebacker isn't very deep this draft. Offensive lineman is, but where do you want to get them? Is there a double dip scenario there with offensive line, right? Maybe there's something to be had there. But now I'll tell you, if this team, for me personally, if this team can wait to the 3rd round and go land the young man out of Wisconsin, Braylon Allen, I'd be over the moon about getting him in the 3rd round.
I would love it. Listen, that's you know, if everybody watching, if you was here a couple of years ago during the COVID year, we seen BJ get up, almost ran his family right off the ground to the wall when he got CeeDee Lamb. On draft night, if we get Braylon Allen, you might see a little spoon he may have in his show, because I love bigger running back. My favorite running back all the time, you know, not a Cowboy, but one of my favorite all the time is Jerome Bettis, the bust. I like big backs. I like that big boy to run up in there and, you know, get them yards pounded in. I like toughness. And that's for Braylon Allen. He's 20 years old. You know, we know the Cowboys love age. They love it when you have that youth on your side along with talent. So a guy like Braylon Allen, who's only 20 years old, I understand he's not that type of running back that we had in the past, like with Julio Jones or like Ezekiel Elliott. He's different, but he's just one of my guys that I really do like in this NFL draft. Him or Osterman from Notre Dame.
Right, Dom, what do you think? So somebody's question there to the panel, getting there in signing Royce Freeman. Maybe let the Cowboys wait to 3rd round.
No, I don't think it actually has any bearing on what their draft strategy is going to be, because I do see it very similar to the Jones deal last year, and then he really didn't make the team. So this is one of those add to the room, get him to camp. We'll see what happens. What does he still have left in the tank? Because this is his 5th team now since he's been in the league, which started in 2018. So this is one where I'm not holding my breath. I'm not having high expectations at all. And to me, high expectations for him would be to be running back 3 for you. And I'm not for sure if he's even going to make the roster. Maybe he does, because at least he has the experience. What's going to happen with Deuce Vaughn? What do they really see in Hunter Lipke? Is he going to be solidified as a fullback, halfback type? What's going to happen there? But I think their philosophy is going to get into this draft and let the value drop to them, or, you know, just move back. But still, that still means they're letting value come to them. So wherever the value meets the pick, I think they'll be willing to go running back as early as round 2.
Yeah, if Jonathan Brooks is there, they'll probably pull the trigger. I just think it is. I think it's insurance to let them not feel pressure into doing it. Maybe he doesn't make it. I like him. I like the signing better than Ronald Jones, but to your point, it doesn't preclude them from taking the guy to. I think if there's a better position there, and let's say the Benson and Brooks are gone, they say, "Hey man, we can really wait here. We don't have to feel forced to go out here and reach on a running back in round 2 when it comes to that standpoint." So
now, Nick,
Yeah.
You said something that was one of the main points that I wanted to make tonight before we got out. But instead of me making a point, I just want to ask it in the form of a question to you two guys. And next, you can start it off.
Okay.
We're talking about Dallas relying on the draft to be the main thing to help build their team out for this upcoming year. Other teams went through free agency. Some teams went hard into free agency to fill holes. Some teams, Dallas isn't the only one that really didn't have a lot of activity. As Dallas fans, we zero in on our team, and we are very disappointed in how they've approached this offseason because we felt like this squad was right there. And you got all these all pros. It's like, okay, it didn't work, but still keep chopping wood, keep going at it, bring in some legit guys, and they just simply did. So now we're relying on the draft. But based on all of the knowledge that you have, looking at the history of drafts, but looking at this one specifically, which I think this is a strong draft class, and you're lucky that it's strong in positions of need currently. But what are your expectations of this rookie class? Even if you got the pick of your choice, like super value on the board of guys that you just absolutely been dreaming would be there at 56, you actually got him, and a guy that you just dreamt of being there at 87, and you actually got him. What are your actual expectations out of the kind of contribution they would bring in year one, knowing we need an immediate contribution? So what is that expectation as far as how many rookies do you think could come in and immediately impact this team? What's that number for you?
Yeah, to me, and I've felt this way for a couple of weeks or months now, because of how the Cowboys have handled it and put themselves in this position. And to a certain extent, right, like we understand, like you lost 2 defensive ends, and Dorrance Armstrong and who's the other guy? Fowler. Well, Sam Williams is going into year 3. You're a former second round pick. It's time for you to step up. So there's some of that within this roster that they're looking for. When I look at it from that standpoint, to me, I think you have to find 2 bona fide starters and a contributor. I think that's what it really boils down to. I think you have to get 2 starters and a contributor. That's what you really need to accomplish to really fill the cracks within the team. You can get some depth pieces, and of course, after the draft, they'll go out here and sign some depth guys. No, we're talking about the current roster right now. To me, the number is 2. Like if we're playing spades, 2 and a possible. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 and a possible. I need 2 for sures. I need 2 for sures. And then can you help me? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at this queen. I'm like, well, I don't have. Maybe I can slide this queen by and get. So. But two starters and a major contributors is really what this Cowboys need to pull out of this draft. It can't be like last year's draft. If you get the return like you did out of last year's draft, and arguably you could say the undrafted guys, free agents, maybe gave you more than what the drafted guys did last year. That's really going to put you behind the 8 ball. And again, that's just the most frustrating thing that we've talked about this on the channel before. We've had our talks about this long term is. The Cowboys, number one for me, it's not that they don't draft good players. They draft good players. That's how you had 8, 9 all pros. They draft well. Now we talk about everything else and maybe how they mishandle it or don't land the plane on certain things. But just because you draft good players doesn't mean you understand how to team build.
Right.
Overall. And the thing that people keep going back to, because that's why there's always this questioning of, well, what's the identity of the Cowboys? What does a Cowboy draft pick look like? Who is that guy? Like when you see him in the draft, when you see particular guys draft, oh, that's a Steeler, right? Or oh, that's a Raven. You kind of understand that. Do you ever see him and say, oh, that's a Cowboy? You don't see that. And that's because they don't team build in their philosophy. They draft well, but they don't team build well. And that's why if we go all the way back to Romo, right? There's been the Jason Wittens, the DeMarcus Wares, Des Bryant's, Tyron Smith, now another one, right? I mean, you just go down the litany list of what we would consider all pros on the board, guys who are in the Hall of Fame or going to the Hall of Fame. And in that stretch, the Cowboys haven't been able to reach a NFC championship game. You have to build better as well, too. But that's part of how they handle the free agency and what they're doing. Neither here nor there. We're talking about right here now, too. Long-windedly there for the answer to your question. Two starters and a major contributor.
And I know that people may have heard what you said, was like, wait, what do you mean that they're not good at team building whenever they have the most all pros this past season of any other team, and then they're having a regular season success, but yet just not getting over the hump? I think what you mean by that is, oh yeah, they can definitely build a fantastic roster, but it always has a fatal flaw somewhere within that roster construction. And we know that time and time again, it's been defensive tackle. Then this last year, it added to the problem with linebacker and the lack of size and all of that. And now we also know that running back this year has been added onto that. So it's like each year they keep compounding the problem by not fixing certain positions where it's just a fatal flaw. And then you look at something else and it's like, man, that's fantastic. I feel completely confident about that position group, especially when you're talking about starters. So you always talk about adequate NFL depth. Well, this year it doesn't seem like that they have quite much of that because they let so many people go, but never replaced them with a quality, contributor. And so Spoon, and if people in the chat, drop what you think your numbered expectation is. I like how Nick, you said 2 starters and a contributor. So for you, Spoon, what do you think it is?
I need 4. I need 4 starters. The thing is with the Cowboys, and I love what BJ said about the difference between team building and drafting well. That was a big plus. And with that, and that's the problem. The problem is Stephen Jones too many times have made a lot of big mistakes when it comes to making a decision, and then you go out there and you make a big splash. The splash wasn't there to make the team better. The splash was there to cover up your mistakes, and that's the problem. There's too much of that going on. You didn't do anything in free agency, that's fine. You're saying that there's not enough pie to go around. You have your 3 guys that you got to pay in Dak, Parsons, and Lamb. That's what you're talking about. But here's the thing: being that you're saying that, you're gonna have to hit on these picks. Now, for me, again, we went 12-5. This is probably gonna be not the best roster we have coming into this season. Yeah, we're gonna be retaining our major guys, but we're gonna have the best roster. Now, at the end of the day, if you're supposed to want to capitalize on what you did last year to this year. Instead of going forward, we went backwards. So now, in order to get at least meet at that middle, you have to hit. Now, your offensive line, there's issues there. Whether you're going to move around Tyler Smith, or let him stay at guard, or let him put him at tackle. Regardless, you have to address that center position. If you feel Hoffman's the guy, you address it. If not, you address that left tackle. The running game was ass. Excuse my friends, it was ass last year. It was no good at all. We gave $10 million to basically a backup running back who was the backup to Zeke Elliott, and because with an ACL injury, he wasn't the same. That was a total waste. You need a starting running back to really take the heat off of Dak sometimes. You really need that. That's another position. Defensive line. We was bad against the run. It wasn't just because we have a linebacker who's playing, a safety who's playing linebacker, changing positions. That's the main issue. No, it started up front. We was getting gassed through. Mozzie Smith took a step back. Hopefully, for what the front office is talking about right now, Mozzie Smith should have a better year upcoming, but how much better? At the end of the day, this is the year where he should take a bigger leap than what he did last year. So, when I need 4 starters. I need 4 stars to contribute on the offensive line, the running game, and I need 2 guys on defense. Because even with getting Kendricks, we don't know how Overshown's going to be. We really don't know. Yes, he's bulking up, X, Y, and Z. He's still going to have to play through that injury he had last year. Normally, it takes about 2 years. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure we have those guys there. You need to build around Michael Parsons. Whatever Zimmer plan is, I'm with. But you got to build around that. And especially when you have guys like D-Law. D-Law may not be here past this year. This may be his last year. We need Sam. You need a hit, and you need guys who are young to step up right away, like Sam Williams. It's another one.
Right. Real quick question here.
I need 4.
4. Okay.
No. So for me, it's kind of, I'm in between both of you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what my hope my hope is actually between the two of yours, but I think the actual expectation, you're probably going to get one solid starter, where I'm talking about a guy who's getting 90+% of the snaps, which is likely an offensive lineman. So whether they go that center position or they go to left tackle position, as long as the guy stays healthy and he's playing as a main starter, you're going to get that. I think you're going to get one significant starter in that. And then when it comes to like significant contributors, I think somewhere along the linebacker core or definitely a running back, that's where you're going to get somebody contributing, because I think they're going to be a stable
tackle.
So like one starter, two significant contributors. But if we can do a little bit of both of what you're talking about, of getting two starters and two contributors out of this class, and I actually think that's the recipe to be able to replace what you lost from the free agents that you just had leave the building, but also that gets you a little bit past what last year's roster was, especially with the guys that you have in house that you're hoping to take that third year, fourth year leap, even like a Osa, for example, or our guy at defensive end. So so if they can get two starters, two significant contributors in this class, man, it's going to bode them well. And the key to do that is to be able to add that extra pick that a lot of people in the Cowboys nation have been wanting to see, is a team trade back situation from 24 to somewhere at the end of that first round, because adding that extra third or fourth round pick is going to be able to help.
We'll get there. We're going to get there.
Great question.
You're good. Yeah, we're going to get there. I want to get to this question because it is a great question. Do you think it's too early to look at safety, considering this is Hooker's last year, and of course, his contract is about 2 years left on it? To me, it's just simply put, yes, the Cowboys can absolutely look at a safety, right? But you can't do it early because of how things have panned out for you. So, but that's something when we start talking about the 2 5s, the 6, 2 7s, sure, you want to look at a safety there, maybe the kid out of Air Force. I personally like the kid out of Washington. We'll talk about him in a little bit. 6'3", big guy. I think they can add something there. We do have to remember that Marquise Bell is making the move to go back to safety. He's not going to play linebacker. And you still have Wanya Thomas, albeit Wanya, I believe, is on last year of his deal as well, too. So there's some moving pieces there down the line. So can you draft a safety? Sure. I don't think you can take one of the first 3 rounds. Y'all buy sellers safety in the draft maybe before round 5, our next pick?
For me, if it wasn't because of so many holes on the team that they have that we just mentioned, I would say definitely, because normally with the Cowboys, you need to look 2 years out instead of just looking at the current present needs of 2024. What does that 25 roster look like? Just what CSM is basically doing. But because they painted themselves in the corner, having so many needs in this current upcoming draft, because they didn't do anything in free agency, then for me, it's like, no, I don't think you can do the 2-year out approach, because you need somebody at that defensive tackle spot, the linebacker spot, running back. Heck, Spoonie threw in receiver, and I do think that's like a 4th or 5th type of need there. And because of the way that this class is set up, you might have a good receiver option there if you moved up into the 4th or got an extra pick in the 4th, or maybe if you're standing right there in the 5th. But I wouldn't cancel it out completely. I understand that question, and it's a great thought, but there just seems to be way more needs, even at defensive end. Safety is really the position that I'm most comfortable with overall with this entire team, at least for 2024.
2024. I agree. I mean, obviously, Fiocco did get to play last year. Ghosted to me, 5 teching out. I don't like him at the 3 tech. And if we're looking at scheme fit with Zimmer, what he's bringing to the table, I think Ghosted makes a ton of sense for them at the end and what he can bring to them. So, I mean, I'm not going to say sabotage the defense, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. It'll be interesting to see what Fiocco's able to do this year for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Spoonie, safety, go right ahead, man.
Oh, sorry. For safety, no. I think that's later on in the draft. I think in the way the Cowboys always operate, they never take one within the first 3 rounds. You always see one with the fourth, fifth, or maybe undrafted. So I don't think that's an early pick for them, in my opinion.
Right. So you had a question, so?
Yeah. So with the wide receivers, because you and Dom has really now shifted my mind just a little bit. So let me ask y'all a question. Because we lost Michael Gallup, right? Mm-hmm. And do you feel? Do you trust if the Cowboys were to come out this draft without drafting a wide receiver? You may get one undrafted, but does this play a role with Martavis Bryant, maybe them feeling him and maybe take over that Michael Gallup role? How do you guys feel about that? No, too much?
I think so Ferguson is the guy that helps all of this.
Right.
Knowing that he's about to get into that point in his career where he's becoming that safety blanket for Dak Prescott. And really, I think he's going to be your second target guy because we never really saw the Cooks-Dak connection develop fully. They never seemed to be on the same page. They had moments, but then it was just not what we really expected. So I think that's really your receiver two, in a sense, when it comes to targets. And then Lamb, if he just can continue to do what he's done the first 3 years of his career, or 4 years, what is it for him?
4.
Lamb is his fourth.
I mean, but no. Who is going to be that real third guy? Is it going to be Cooks? Because honestly, I wish I could have Cooks as my wide receiver 3, and I wish I could have a wide receiver 2 in a perfect world. But I think they're going to look at it to get that last year out of him on his current deal, still have him at wide receiver 2, and maybe hope Jalen Tolbert or Jalen Brooks, one of those guys in house, step up. And maybe, just maybe, something falls into their hands in the draft where it makes sense to bring in a guy.
10-4. So, Bryant, hey man, he should have fresh legs. He should have some fresh legs. I'll be excited to see. I think it's interesting that they brought him on last year and then get into a futures contract and bring him in again. I think some of that was to get him back into the life cycle of an NFL player. Get his, athletic, training, see where he's at, kind of getting back into the fold, right? Let him get back to where he needed to be as an NFL player, and then really have an opportunity this year to kind of see where it's at. Was he brought in to be the ultimate replacement for Gallup? Maybe for a season, maybe. But you can't take it off the board. What he does possess as a player, they'll be an out for many years. What does he have left? We wait and see. But yeah, I think obviously he's going to get his opportunities in camp. It'll just be up to him, what he does with those opportunities. Right. As we're trying to conduce and get all these guys in 3 rounds and all these holes that the Cowboys have, enters in the good old, trade back scenario, right? And what we do know is the Cowboys the last 2 years, via Stephen Joe says, they had opportunities to trade down. 2 years ago, they were going to trade down, and Tennessee was coming up. They were going to take Tyler Smith, so they said nope and hung up. Last year, they were going to trade down. Well, the Chiefs are having some contractual stuff going on with Chris Jones. They were going to trade up. They were going to take Monty Smith. They hang up the phone. They took Monty Smith. So 2 times the last 2 years, they've had opportunity to trade down. This year, maybe they'll be a little bit more willing because, again, you don't have that 4th round pick.
And man,
what?
And I mean, keep going. Like in 2021, they actually did trade down from 10 to 12 whenever they had Parsons on the board. And then 4 years ago, when CD was still at 17, they said that they had 3 very strong offers for teams who were wanting to come up to that pick, but yet there was just too much value with CD being on the board. So yeah, the last 4 years, we know, and of course, 2019 they didn't have a first rounder because they traded it away. And the last 4 years they've had the opportunity to trade back and got great quality within those trade offers. Because last year with Kansas City, they were willing to give up their first and their third round pick just to move up, what, 4 or 5 spots? So yeah, there it's been there. And like you're about to continue to say, what?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, is the guy on the board though? The flashing light, whatever the case may be, and they can't move off of it. Has been the past 2 years. Back to in the Michael Parsons trade down, everybody knew they were going to take cornerback. Cornerbacks got washed, so they traded back. They didn't reach it and risk. Hey, let's just trade back a little bit. Figure it out, buy ourselves some time. But again, the last 2 years, their guy was there. That's who they're going to take, and that's who the person was coming up for. So they said, "No, we can't do that." And we'll see where that is. But it's boy, I mean, for me, this draft is very rich in the first 4 rounds. I think it's more top heavy this draft than it's been in the past couple of years. There's going to be guys in day 3. There always are. I don't think day 3 is as rich as it's been in the years past. No, that's outside looking in and thinking how this thing's going to fall. We don't know how the board's going to break down, where people end up, sliding. But I think it's more important with what the Cowboys have needs wise. I mean, Sweeney said we got to get 4 starters. Lord Jesus, we got to get 4. We got 3 picks in the first 2 days. You got to be able to generate one. And for me, this has to be where, man, if you get the right kind of stacks, and we talked about this, in the back just before we got here. I don't know if there's a strong enough blinking light at 24 for them not to really trade back. They're bored how it looks, but if they're not going to trade back, well, let me pause there. Let me leave it there. Like, I'm a big proponent of get your guy, stick your pick, or go get your guy, go up the board. Not that I'm against trading down by any stretch. I know a lot more people they're more willing to trade back. I'm like, I just want to stick and pick. It has to make a lot of sense. Hey man, I'm out here flag waving. I'm pounding the table. Boy, the Cowboys really need to find a way to make a trade back and really make it work with everything that they need to get that extra 3rd round pick, man. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at 1,000 on a trade back is where I'm at, Dom and Spoon. For a trade back for y'all on a scale of 1 to 10, where y'all land?
I'm on a 10, and I want to say I'm on the train with the 2 starters, 2 contributors.
Okay.
Want me to put that down.
A little adjustment on the fly. A little adjustment on the fly there, Spoon.
Just on the fly, 2 and 2.
Hey man, we're knocking the rust off right now, Spoon. We're knocking the rust off. We ain't been on it in a while.
but you know what? But you know what though? I tell you this: I'm with a 10 with trading back, and just for the guys that because I know Dom and I know Mendoza. Professor, I was with the draft early as far as the breakdown for guys of the board and everything before the season even ended. And to me, just by researching what you guys saying and on my own, I find it very comfortable that you can still get that value if you trade a couple of spots back and getting that extra 3rd or 4th round pick, because we wasn't so aggressive in free agency that we're gonna need. It'd be good to have that, and that way you can maybe get that 2 starters to contribute a thing going right there. So I'm more on a 10.
I mean, Dom, I'm thirsty, and it's not good to be thirsty in the draft. Hell, you ain't trade back from 24 to 27. You give me a 4th? Sign me up. I'll give you a 4th. Where you at, Dom, on the trade back scenario?
Yeah, I'm more at about a 7.9. And the reason I say that is, I definitely want to be able to acquire that extra pick. But if I have a prospect that I feel is a starter, and we've been talking about the need for starters, because there are some guys that I think who are going to go in that top 32 that they're not going to be starters, and they wouldn't be starters for Dallas, but yet they're still worth the pick. And I'm not the type that's just looking at the 24 roster. I also think future as well. So I know that sounds contradictory to what we've been saying, but I'm not just stuck in the mud with, this guy has to be, but thinking the way that they think, knowing what the way things are right now. There are some kids out there where, do I really want a Tyler Guyton to start for me year 1? No. Would I really want to rely heavily on maybe like a Lad McConkey if I've traded back? Do I really want to rely on that? No. But if you're telling me a Graham Barton or JPJ is right there for the taking, no, I'm not going to move away from a value like that, because I think that's an immediate starter, and I think that's a well above average player already in his position group whenever you put him in a league. So give me the real bird in hand instead of two in the bush on a situation like that.
The other side of that is because Cowboys do have multiple picks in day 2 or day 3, excuse me. Even if you're not in a trade back scenario, I think it's imperative for them to come up to the 4th round by hook or by crook. Like, I think you got to make some moves, even if it's let's go into the Scott trade when they get back into the draft, and they trade a future pick to get back in there. Same thing here. Like, I know everyone keeps talking about the Cowboys to get an extra pick, and I'm right there with them. I completely agree. But even if it's not in a trade back scenario round 1, guess what? It can be a trade back scenario in round 2. And it doesn't get talked about a lot because obviously the most value people feel like they're going to get is maybe in round 1, but there's more than one way to accomplish getting that extra 3rd or 4th round pick. It doesn't necessarily have to be round 1. You can do round 2, trade back, or you can sacrifice some picks to come up into round 4, knowing that you have a lot of top picks coming to you next year, right? So you can sacrifice some extra picks to get into round 4. I think just ultimately the Cowboys have to be creative, and no matter how they do it, whether it's 1st round, 2nd round, or trading back up into it, I think they have to be creative. I think they need 4 picks in the first 2 days. Man, if they could generate and find a way to get, say, 3 picks in the top 100, my goodness, I don't think they can go that far and do it. That would be great. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. But if you get 3 picks to say,
really, 125.
Top 20, yeah, I was going to say 3 picks in 120 or 125 even. If they ain't found a way to generate a way to get 3 picks in the top 120, I think it goes a long ways for them.
Yep. You're sitting at 24, you got 56, 87, and then you're going to have to wait a long time after that. So if somehow
buckle up.
Yeah, somehow if they can get into that
smoke break on during that part of the stream.
Yeah. So they have to do something, and that's the thing. Having next year's comp picks, though they're not counted yet, they won't be counted until then. They know what they have in place, so they can use the allotment of picks that they'll have to be able to do something. So there's ways to maneuver and get around in this draft. So you mentioned another one from 56. Well, maybe you want to move back from there and get a 5th rounder. And now you have a couple of 5th rounders now that you can use this immediate year and then come up then. So there's ways to move. The only thing about it is this team doesn't move a lot like that. They don't maneuver and scheme as of late like other teams do. They generally like to stick and pick and get their guys. They did it with Zeke when they picked him, even though positional value-wise, maybe not the greatest use of the resource, but hey, you at least nailed the pick. And so year after year, they continue they zero in on a position or they zero in on a player, and they like to try to fill that need, or they like to take that player. So it wouldn't shock me at all if they decided, you know what, we're going to stick and pick at 24 because we love that player. Or, man, this might be that last chance of the tackle that we can get, or they can fill that need that Tyrant has left.
Big facts. Like I said, pick one of the 3 and make it work. That's all I know. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night. We've talked everything kind of conducive to the Cowboys draft and everything else. Mock draft me. All right, let's do some mock drafting, shall we? Let's take everything we've talked about and let's run the exercise and see maybe exactly what we come up with and what's available and how things go. So, man, let's get it cracking. All right, let's real quick and we'll run through the picks here. Caleb Williams goes 1, Jaden Daniels 2, Drake May 3, Malik Neighbors 4 to Arizona, Brock Bowers to the Chargers, JJ McCarthy to the Giants. Oh my God, please, God, if you're listening.
Can I tell you something about that? So for our listeners out there, pick 6, we've been working on our consensus board. So we tasked everybody.
I'm sorry, I did skip that.
You don't even got to save it. You ain't got to share it. We can share it next week. Or maybe later tonight. It don't matter. Right. But we've been working on it behind the scenes. And so all the Pick 6 members have thrown up their guys. Nick's is going to be able to fill his in eventually. And we assign points values. So your number 1 guy gets 32 points. We went to 32 players are top 32 each because there's 32 picks in the first round. So so far, at least 38 players have gotten a point as a top 32 on somebody's board. What's fascinating to me is out of those 38 players that have at least gotten a point, there's only 3 quarterbacks that have gotten a point. That's Caleb Williams, that's Drake May, and then there's Jaden Daniels. None of us on the Pick Six panel, not a single one of us, had J.J. McCarthy as a guy. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. There was a fourth.
Penix.
Penix is way down there, but nobody put J.J. McCarthy as a top 32 guy on their board. Now, we all suspect or expect that he's going to definitely go high, but just from our board perspective, I thought it was interesting that we left him off, and even a Bo Nix, who might also go in the first round. So that's just nice. We want this to happen. That's why you're laughing. It's like, go ahead.
Get them all out. Yeah, get them all. Yeah, get all these quarterbacks up out of here.
A little bit better than Daniel Jones 2.0 and, keep kicking that can down the road of trying to be contenders.
Big facts. Dallas Turner for the Titans at 7. Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Falcons. That offense is getting scary. Rome going to the Bears. That's starting to look nice over there for Caleb, huh? Joe Alt to the Jets. Fuaga to the Vikings. Verse to the Broncos. Quinyon Mitchell to the Raiders. Jesse Latham to the Saints. That's such a Saints pick too. Brian Thomas Jr. to the Colts going 15. Fashanu going to Seattle. Sorry, Fashanu fans. Arnold making it out there to Jacksonville. Byron Murphy, there's a little strike there. Going to the Bengals. No, Troy. Oh, man. Okay, he goes 19. There goes the dream. Cooper DeJean to the Steelers. Graham Barton off the board to the Dolphins. Oh, salute to the Eagles doing your boy Nick's a favor. Taking Guyton. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Again, let me be clear. I think Guyton can go play right tackle for you. I do. I'm not a buyer of Guyton coming in and being your starting left tackle year 1. I'm just not. Latu goes to 23 right before us, so that opens it up. We got Newton from Illinois. Marius Mims, tackle Georgia. A.D. Mitchell. Nate Wiggins. Well, I know you're big on Nate. Cooley McKinstry. Jackson Powers Johnson. Troy Franklin. Peyton Wilson. Lad McConkley. Zach Frazier. Bo Nix. I'm not saying that. Penix. Nope. Jordan Morgan. Chop. Keon Coleman. Roman Wilson. Kind of know the names there. So now let's talk about it, right? We kind of see what there's on the board, right? And real quick, let's pivot over here and let's just look at offensive tackle in general, right? Let's kind of look at that and what's all the way available. So Mims, Morgan, Kieran, Kingsley, Coleman, Fisher, Rosengarten, who started to really flop some people's boards, Paul Pooney, and we'll kind of leave it there. So we kind of got an idea. Mims, Morgan, Kieran, Kingsley, Coleman, Fisher, right? So let's get into the actual war room. All right, guys, here's what we have. We do have 5 trades that looks to be available to us.
Okay.
If this is the lay of the land when we're sitting at 24, right? Are you picking up the phone here? Or is there a guy here that you're saying, hey, look, I'd love to be able to trade back. However, I am sticking and picking right here. Spoonie?
For me, because Newton being there from Illinois, to me, my question is this: is Osa Dugawuza, is he back? Is he in the plans for next year? If he's not in the plans,
can't worry about that now. You can't worry about that right now.
So you know what?
You trying to get cute, Spoon?
Yeah, I am. I was trying.
TikTok.
I really do like Mims. Mims for the offensive line position. It's between Mims
and Stephen Thomas Jr. went 15 to the Colts. I'm sorry, wait, Spoon. No, why was that still Thomas Jr. there? Yeah, he went 15 to the Colts. Go right ahead, Spoon.
Yeah, so for me, it's pretty much the Newton or with the offensive line with Mims. but I would really prefer to trade back because I see JPJ there, I see Frazier still there, so that's where I'm at right now. If we stick now, it's between Newton and Mims. If we trade back, JPJ or Frazier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And look, it kind of maybe a little bit of a perfect scenario for the Cowboys since you got 2 quarterbacks on the board as well, amongst other guys that are there. Dom, this is how the board falls. Where are you landing here? Is it time to pick up the phone here and see what these 5 teams are talking about? Or is there somebody there you cannot turn away from? You got to stick and pick.
Man, we've been talking about offensive tackle all draft season long. And y'all know I love my offensive linemen. So looking at that offensive line mix, Amarius Mims on my board is the 23rd overall player. I think he's a high upside guy. He's not quite ready yet. There are many things that scare me about him where I have reservations, but then I'm excited about the upside with that player. So he's definitely one that's, right there in the mix, 23rd overall rated player for me. But just ahead of him is Jordan Morgan, where I think Jordan Morgan is ready to play right now. He is a little bit scheme specific. So I like having 2 guys that I feel can play left tackle for me because I think Mims can make that transition. However, there are 2 players rated even higher than them on my board. Jerzon Newton, I have him as the 20th rated player on my board, the number 1 defensive tackle because of the pass rush ability. I think he's a better pass rusher than Byron Murphy is right now, but he's still a solid run defender, and think he can get better at that. And we know that we need a defensive tackle. I've been saying the last 3 years, Osa has nobody to pair with him on that interior, and I think Jerzon Newton would be a significant snap getter. And we're talking about starter snaps wise, you might as well consider that starter. So him, Mozzie, Newton, or him, Newton, Mozzie, and Osa together, I think that's a great rotation for your interior. But the one guy that I would argue with over all of them is Jackson Powers Johnson. Today, I moved him back ahead of Graham Barton as my number 1 center. And I think he would be a significant increase over what you got production-wise out of our boy Tyler Biadasz.
It's not going to party.
And man, when I'm talking about defending or protecting my quarterback, where this might be the last year we see this offense together the way that Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones are BSing with these contract extensions, I want to be able to protect my quarterback from the middle. I want my little bitty running back and Deuce Vaughn, who we invested in, to be able to have lanes to run in up the middle. Give me Jackson Powers Johnson. I am actually not going to trade back. I will stick and pick because I think he is a actual starter right now.
Well, let's take a look.
There's tiers. There's tiers to my board. There's tiers, and a guy, and those guys in that top 17, it just drops every like 4th player, and I think a lot of these guys that we're talking about in what would be in the 20s for me, and some of the guys that I saw on y'all's boards in the 20s, even though that's still great value, you love the player, I don't know if they're really going to be starters out the chute and then give you at least league average play, production, or above. So that's a lot to put on a rookie. But I think at a center spot like that, JPJ will do his thing, and it will completely change the complexion of the Cowboys' offensive line.
Well, I mean, it's my kind of party, Dom. You already know. I've been out here making the table, got highlighted tweets and everything since January. Real quick, though, I just want to look and see the teams that were interested in the trade, right? Just to see who was interested. And you had the Chargers was the highest pick with 37, Saints coming in with the 45th, Browns at 54, Broncos at 76, Minnesota 108. So in that scenario where the teams are willing to come up, like 37 would be the only thing maybe that you would consider, I think, in this scenario, right? But I'm of the mindset here with what's on the board, I don't think I would want to go back to 37, right? Because I think the stack then is absolutely going to dry up. Professor O's in the building says he's taking Newton. All right, so we got guys. So none of the none of the left tackles, per se, none of the tackles, right? That's not it. It's down to, as we're talking it out here, we're down to JPJ and Newton is where we land.
So, last year they came down to Matthew Bergeron and Mazi.
It's a mock. This ain't real life. Oh.
So, yeah, they came down to Mazi and Matthew Bergeron. And a lot of Cowboys content creators and the media, they keep talking about how it was this great debate and it was like a tough decision. No, it wasn't. Go back and really listen to that audio. Listen to what Jerry Jones says, who really sets the conversation. It was, they wanted Mazi all along. Even though Bergeron was 12th on their board, it seemed, and Mazi was 13th, they wanted Mazi. And then they only started talking about Bergeron, really, because Jerry was like, okay, well then if it's Bergeron, then fight for him now, basically. Tell me about him. And so they started talking up Bergeron and about what his qualities were. He could be a left tackle for them, or even flip over to the right side. He's got that versatility, be a swing type guy. But it really wasn't about a hard decision. And so to me, in this situation, this would be an extremely difficult decision, because you do have to put into consideration some of this late news about the concussion issue with JPJ, or even some of the strains that he have had, the hamstring that he had at the Senior Bowl, the groin, that stuff does concern you. And then on the flip side, you can fight for Jerzon Newton the way that I did, because I think he can help you both in pass rush and run defense. But when I just overall look at it and go, who's going to probably bring the most impact to this team, I'm going to get a guy that I feel can play 100% of the time because of playing that center position. He's so strong. He's powerful. The reason I moved him back ahead of Graham Barton is because when I go back and I rewatched Graham Barton, as much as I love his movement skills, I think he's got the Mahler mentality. He is tough. I've talked about he can cut off half the field. It's a cheat code to have a center pull. But JPJ got all those movement skills too. He can get to the second level. He can get into his scoop blocks. But then it's his power, his sheer power to reset the line of scrimmage consistently, and having the experience this last year playing. I'm still going to say JPJ in this situation. For me, lock it in for DW.
I like Graham Barton more at guard than center for him too as well. That's how I kind of look at him. Real quick though, looks like we get 37 and 69 for 24.
Don't want it.
How far back though?
37. So we go from 24 to 37. But you pick up 69.
Don't want it.
Nah.
One in hand is worth more than two in the bush.
Is there any way we could drop back? Is there any trade available where we could go?
No, this is the highest. This is the highest team that offered. I mean, in a real world, sure, I could probably go over there and make a trade happen. But I looked at who wanted to come up in a real fashion, what they were running, and this is the highest team that wants to come up, the highest pick available. Okay.
And again, here's the thing, y'all. Like this is the week before the actual draft, and let's be realistic with this. What do y'all think the Cowboys would do in this situation, where you only got a 37? And then a 69, you really think they're going to move all the way away from the first round?
I think if this is the Cowboys, they would take a tackle. I think they absolutely would take a tackle here.
Then fight for a tackle. Which tackle would you fight for?
You're not going to get me to fight over JPJ, sir. They won't be me. But I think in this scenario, I think obviously, but being real, I think Newton's definitely in the conversation, right? And again, if we're looking at specifically the biggest needs, I said it before, and I said I'm even as much as I like center when we were talking about it earlier tonight, right? I was like, I'm not going to do the combo. I think it's defensive tackle, left tackle, running back. Those are the three biggest needs for this team heading into this draft. Is what it boils down to for me.
Yeah. I think if they were to fight I think they would fight between Mims
Mhm.
and Kingsley
I
Suamaitea.
agree.
And
I
the
agree.
reason I think I don't know if they're going to like Jordan Morgan as much as I like Jordan Morgan because I have him over both of those guys. Is he reminds me of Rayshawn Slater as
Sure.
far as body and like swiftness, but yet he's got a little bit of power concerns for me, like I had with Connor Williams coming
Mhm.
out of his draft. So it's like Connor meets Rayshawn, and then you got the concerns of the real length. So I don't know if they will value Jordan Morgan as much as I do, and he's an injury concern. Let's
Okay.
be real about it. Not just the ACL 2 years ago, because he played this whole past season healthy, but 3 years ago he missed games because of injuries. So that's also something you have to think about. I think Amarius Mims doesn't really fit so much what the Cowboys would do, in my opinion, because of just the uncertainty behind him and the injury concern, but the upside is there. So I think
Sure.
Easley seems to be more of that dark horse that I've been saying for the last 3, 4 months would be the guy that they would like. He represents more like the Tyler Smith pick. But then when I go Kingsley and then I go JPJ and I compare the two and the value, I think Kingsley's going to need a lot of work. He's still developing, and I think he has the ability to get there. But JPJ
Mhm.
is instant.
But what about position value here as far as the draft goes?
I mean, run. What was their biggest issue on the offense last year?
Sure. Yeah, running the ball.
Couldn't run the
Sure.
ball, and then so I think they believe if they can help Dak Prescott out with a more consistent run game, and that be a threat by putting a guy like that in the middle to be able to help it out. It changes again the complexion, not just of the offensive line, but the philosophy that you have and how you're going to attack defenses,
Mhm.
and it keeps those defensive coordinators a little bit more honest. So, for me, I'm still thinking JPJ.
JPJ. Yeah, I think uh if we go JPJ here, you have to be telling me to a certain extent that Tyler Smith's now going to be left tackle, and we believe in Bass playing left guard
Mhm.
is what we're kind of getting to.
No,
You got to let the board fall, but there has to be an opportunity.
not-
There has to be a risk. You're
I'm not
risking
telling
that,
you
though,
that.
Dom.
I'm not telling you
But
that.
you're absolutely risking it. You're not telling me that, but you're risking that.
You are, but
Right.
again, what have they been? How have they been operating? And what have they actually said? We're going to let these guys who are year 2, year 3. We're hoping they're making that second and third year jump. And Awesome Richards is right there. Like, I respected him last year in his draft class. They've spent this year developing him up. Maybe they didn't want to put him out there and throw him to the wolves to mess up his psyche. I think there's the potential where they like Awesome a little bit better than the fans realize because we just don't know. So in a situation like that, he's going to get his opportunity. But then, hey, you still got 5 other picks after this, or 6 other picks.
Right.
You never know what might be there at 56 to be able to come in and compete for that left tackle spot. They might double dip on the offensive line.
Well, then, but if they double, okay, let's go double dip. Then who's really getting an opportunity to double dip then? Early double dip, not late. Early double dip. Let's say round 1, round 2. If you're going center tackle, right? Okay, well, we already know how the Cowboys, they're going to be playing. And you're taking away the opportunities for these young guys to have their chance, per se, when it comes to that. So, I mean, you might, but again, you got to let the board fall. To me, you're not taking Powers isn't telling me that he's going to play left tackle. What it's saying is there's a space and opportunity here now that Tyler is going to be left tackle, depending on the way the rest of this draft falls moving forward.
Yep. And we said that at the jump of this offseason.
Sure.
Whenever Tyron left, it's like they're now just going to let the draft dictate what they're going to do with Tyler Smith. But really, it's not just the draft. It's, well, now you got camp. And you get these guys into the building and you see what you have. And it's like, all right, where do we really need somebody? But I still think the interior offensive line is the most important thing right now in this NFL, especially the teams that they're playing against. I think you can help protect whoever that left tackle is, because you've been able to do that anyway in the absence of Tyron whenever he's
Mhm.
gone down. You need to find somebody who's been better than what his replacements have been over the last 8 years. And I think you already got that potentially in Awesome. And then maybe one of these other guys that you might have come in. And then you still got June 1 cuts. You got trade possibilities after the draft.
That's right. Oh, we don't need to draft the center. Zeke is still available. Get out of here.
It's horrible.
All right. Well, I mean, we
Yeah.
so we're gonna pass on. We're not gonna go defensive tackle back to back years. In Mozzie, we trust. We're not gonna go Newton. We're going with the center. But, hey, Cowboys offensive line hasn't. There it is. Cowboys offensive line has not been the same since the beard left. Those are facts.
Mhm.
Those are facts. We just did that.
The facts of life.
Oh, look what right before us. The BYU got Miami. All right, so let's take a look. Let's kind of scroll back up here and let's see Mims directly after us to Green Bay, Wiggins to the Bucks, Chop to the Cardinals, Robinson, Darius, right, to the Bills, Kool-Aid to the Lions, Lad McConkey to the Ravens,
Wow.
Jordan Morgan to San Francisco, and A.D. Mitchell to the Chiefs. Ooh-wee. Man, look at there. Newton makes it all the way to round 2, first pick to the Panthers. Xavier Worthy. Oh, they get their quarterback in May, and they get Worthy for the Patriots. Polk to the Cardinals. Max Melton to Washington. Leggett to the Chargers. Isaac Edge over there for Tennessee. Lassiter to, man, I'll tell you what, Panthers are trying to do something on that defense, ain't they? Kingsley to Washington. Bang.
Yeah.
Zach Frazier to Green Bay. Wow, they backdoor. So they go Mims and Zach Frazier. Peyton Wilson to, that's nasty for the Texans. Let's see, Mike, Michigan cornerback. Oh, another tackle. Oh, look at these tackles leaving now. Rosengarten to the Raiders. Bo Nix. Yeah, okay. Bo Nix to the Saints. Newman to the Colts. Troy Franklin to the Giants. Rakenstraw to the Jags. Brandon Fisk. I really like Brandon Fisk, man. To the Bengals. Sanders, the tight end from Texas, to the Eagles. Patrick Paul to the Steelers. Penix makes it all the way to 52 in the Rams. Ricky Parasol to wide receiver to the Eagles. Kenyon Coleman isn't quite making to us, going to the Browns. And then Kieran from BYU goes to the Dolphins. So, with that being said, what does the tackle position look like now for you? Brandon Coleman, hey, official visit with the Cowboys, TCU. Blake Fisher, Notre Dame. Uni, probably feel a little high here. You still got Christian Jones down here chilling as well. Christian Jones still down here chilling from the University of Texas.
I believe for the Cowboys, that just fell beautifully for them if they still were trying to target a left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling people Brandon Coleman is a legitimate round.
He's a legitimate guy.
Target for a left tackle. And Blake Fisher is one of 2 guys in this class that I think can make that switch from right tackle to left tackle. And I think he is a value right here at the end of round 2. So that's a possibility, but let's look at some other things because there might be way better value on the board because I'm not just stubborn to try to get the left tackle.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at the board.
Got Brooks down there.
Wilson. Yeah, you got Brooks, Bullard safety, Brooks, Chris Jenkins D-line, TJ Tampa corner, Blake Horn running back, Hicks safety, Ellis, Roswell, Edrin Cooper. You do have Edrin Cooper here. Haynes, Corley on the building in the building. Jalen Wright, what's he called? Junior Colson, Jermaine Burton, Trey Benson. I mean, Javon Baker, Bucky Irvin. I mean, you got options.
According to the Pick 6 board, the highest value that's remaining is Edrin Cooper. He was the 31st overall player on our board.
Okay. Let's see here. There is a trade. Let's take a look at the trade. See who's offering what. So you got Seattle. Oh man, they want to come up from 81 to 56.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's that. I wouldn't be on board for going from 56 to 81. No. Anybody else?
Nope.
No.
All right. Now here's the conundrum what we talked about. So we got the center. All right, we got 2 more picks here. No trade back scenario really worked out for us, and those things happened in the draft. You know, the closest thing to a trade back scenario we had in round 1 was going into round 2, pick 37. We decided to pass on that. Here right in round 2, opportunity to maybe trade back. Too far of a drop, 56 to 81, too far of a drop. So you got the center. You have a good stack here, right? Let's be clear. There's a good stack here of players, but now it's identifying what position do you want to attack. For me personally, I'm not going to go running back here, even though it seems to be like not a single running back went off the board yet. That tells me I can wait another round still on running back. So now do we want to go BPA by what we think? Because boy, having Cooper here it would be huge, right? I definitely getting Cooper here 56 is big. But then again, how long you're going to address some, one of these other positions at the 3rd spot? Do you think these tackles will make it to you in round 3 where you're going to feel pretty good about it? Or then is it the doomsday? I don't say doomsday scenario, but now it's like maybe we need to pivot and start thinking about a guard instead of a tackle in round 3 if we don't go tackle here.
I mean, to me, the value is just too great with Edgerrin Cooper there, and linebacker being what both you and I said was.
Sure.
All 3 of us actually said it's one of the top 3 needs on the team. So you're talking about getting our 31st overall rated player here at 56. That's CeeDee Lamb type stuff. That's Trayvon Diggs type stuff, where you weren't expecting him to be there on the board. Now, those defensive tackles that are there, I think there's going to be one available in the 3rd round. Because, we're looking at Jerzon Newton. Jerzon Newton isn't a space eater. He's not a big monster. He's not a 1-tech or nose guard. He's a 3-tech or a nice 5 if you really want to think about it that way. But I'm the one who keep telling y'all, I don't care about the size of the defensive tackle. I need somebody who's going to be a quality snap getter who can actually produce for you. So I see a number of defensive tackles that are still left on the board. I see all of the running backs left. But what's going to thin out quick as far as an instant impact guy and the rush ability that he brings as well with the linebacker core, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm with Edgerrin Cooper all the way.
10-4.
That's part of the 2 starters, 2 contributors right there.
Welcome to the Wrench Game, Double R. You've been added. So with the pick number 56, we're getting deep in the woods here and passing on some guys. But again, getting Cooper here, it's hard to walk away from it. Linebacker, Texas A&M. Edgerrin Cooper. Bada bing, bada boom. 87 is going to be mad interesting, man.
Oh,
Pause real quick. Let's scroll. Oh man. Okay.
We good. We good.
Let me scroll here. Let's see. All right. Tampa leaves. Roman Wilson, Ellis, Bullard to the Bills. Jonathan Brooks. That's interesting for the Lions. Chris Jenkins, Baltimore. Jaden Hicks to the Niners. Oh, they get Mitchell and Corley in Kansas City. Wowzers. Dorless, Nealand, Christian Haynes over here to that's such a damn Patriots guy, ain't it? Yeah, Blake Horn, big shock. Blake Horn to the Chargers. His coach is there. Jalen Wright to the Giants. Blake Fisher, Coleman's off the board now. Goes 74 to the Falcons. Walker, Junior Colson's off the board to the Broncos. Ooh, Rattler makes it over to pick 77. Javon Baker to Washington. Trey Benson goes to the Falcons at 79. Jermaine Burton, 80 to the Bengals. Johnny Wilson, another wide receiver. Man, McMillan, another wide receiver. Green, Marshawn Lloyd to the Browns. Bucky Irvin right ahead of us. So we have one trade on the board real quick. We're at 87. This is interesting. Baltimore's picking at 93. Maybe something you'd be willing to do. We'll kind of come back to that in a second. Let's take a look at the board and what we got. All right. So, Bullock safety, Ray Davis, Xavier Thomas, Kyrie Jackson, cornerback Auburn, Booker, Malik Washington, Cooper Beebe still chilling down here, McCormick, Trotter Jr., but you kind of covered that. Another safety here with Jordan Taylor, Trice, edge from Washington, Van Pran, but you kind of got center knocked out. And so we'll look at running back just to see what's left. I think Coleman maybe.
Running back got white.
But Brandon Allen's still on the board. So Ray Davis, great prospect. He's old as hell. A great prospect, but he's old. Trace has been interesting. He's been a guy who's been rising here lately out of Purdue. Davis, Brandon Allen, estimates on the board. Will Shipp is the guy I talked about. He's a Tony Pollard-esque kind of guy, running and catching the ball. Vidal, I know Eddie was really big on Vidal coming out of Troy. Ali, intriguing player as well too. We will look at the tackle.
So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was actually about Garendo. How do you feel about him?
Not in the third round.
No, not in the third round, but like later on.
No, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you can talk me into almost anything when it comes to the 6th, 7th round.
Okay.
He's got deep speed, but he's not a shifty guy, and he's not. To me, he's not even a bursty guy. Like that 40 time. I don't see that show up on tape. They're in that first like 10 to 20 yard split, but when he just wide open and hitting the hole like that, yeah, I had seen it, but all around running back, I'm not so sure. But hey, his best days might be ahead.
Would you go from 87 to 93 for 130?
For 130, yes. 130 is per round. That's,
absolutely.
Okay. Now, did you see what was there for defensive tackle? Let me go back to it real quick.
So, the D tackle options I like.
Right.
Here, because I'm big on Michael Hall Jr.
So you got Hall, right? You got Sweat, Carter, Mason Smith, Wingo.
Smith being at one.
Kenny Jackson's down here.
Yeah.
George Jefferson's still chilling.
So there are.
But he's a later round guy.
That's 4 defensive tackles that I would take right now. Mm-hmm. And so to think moving back just a few spots to pick up an extra pick, I still and then there's some running backs that I like. I mean, I would take Braylon Allen at this spot. I would even take Estime.
Zach Zenner on the board.
Cooper, man, Cooper would probably be the best value left, but you just got an interior offensive lineman in that first round. But you were arguing earlier, do you put Tyler Smith at left tackle if you get Cooper Beebe here?
Right.
I don't know if they'll exhaust that much into the offensive line knowing they got bad.
Right. Let's go for the trade.
I would trade.
Let's go for the trade. I mean, 6 spots. We're generating a pick here. And like I said, because 87 to 174 is a long time.
Yep.
If there's a way to generate something here, and again, there's enough. You're moving back, right? You're moving back 6 spots. There's options at deepest tackle. There's options at running back, and there's options interior line. Do y'all want to look at wide receiver before I do this as well, or y'all good?
The one that was there was Malik Washington, but nah.
Right. Okay. Says has a 16% chance of being accepted. Baltimore would not accept.
Now, I personally wouldn't mind doing adding our 174 or 216 to try to make that happen. First I'd try 216 and see if they'd be willing to dance with us.
Okay. 216 says 90% chance. Let me ask you this: would you? No, well, yeah, okay. Let's. Could play with a little bit more, but let's try this. Okay, boom. So we get the trade done. So we go from 87 to 93.
Mhm.
We give them 216, but we gain 130. Is where we're at.
We move
And
up.
who do they take? That's going to be interesting. Is who do they take? Who's in drafts? Only a couple spots here. They come up. Oh wow, that zoomed really fast. They came up and took Xavier Thomas, the edge out of Clemson. Ray Davis leaves to Green Bay. Jackson goes to Kyrie Jackson goes to the Bucks. Booker edge Kansas Cardinals. Solomon edge Troy. Mason McCormick Bucks. This played out beautifully. Like, I mean, it leaves pretty much everything we were talking about on the board at 87, and we're able to pick up a pick on the back end here in between that 180, that 174 side. So this is, I mean, boy, this is a huge.
BA. Brandon Allen. I feel him. Feel his presence. Feel his presence.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can do either or here. You know, you could just pick it up the 130.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the question we have to ask ourselves. Let's go. I mean, here's the real question: Is it time? Are we saying Tyler Smith's going to tackle?
At this point, I'm still not saying he is.
Is BB still there?
Yeah, BB's still there. If he's not going there, then there's no reason for me to take BB.
God dang!
I'm not taking BB.
All right.
You know what? I'm go ahead.
Because offensive tackle wise, here, let me get to offensive tackle.
All right, so in this situation, I really think they would be talking about Cooper Beebe and Braylon Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you love both of those players, Spoonie.
Sure.
So I'm gonna let you fight with yourself. I'm bones right now. I'm special teams. I don't even. I'm out of here.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. My heart, I want Braylon Allen, but the smart money will be BB. End of the day, you build up the wall again. Build up that wall. I'm going BB.
If you're going BB,
Tyler's going to left guard.
Tyler's going to left. Then Tyler's going to left tackle.
Yep.
Because if he's not going to left tackle, not letting you off the hook here either, Dom. You can't tell me that Tyler's not going to left tackle if you take BB here. If you take BB right here, he's going to left tackle. Now, is there a tackle on the board you still feel good about?
Oh, go back to the tackle group.
Sure.
It was like Dominique Puny. I think he's going to be a guard. It was
Puny.
Goncalves is going to be a guard. Or Goncalves, excuse me, going to be a guard. Right. Isaiah Adams is going to be a guard. Caden Wallace is an interesting one. I think he's a fourth-round value. Christian Jones, I really rather keep him at right tackle, though he's got some left tackle experience. I like Foster. I think you kick him inside. I like Laumia there at Utah, but that's much later. No, none of these would be picked over the two guys we're talking about. And I still telling y'all, Michael Hall Jr., defensive tackle, that kid's going to be special in the league. He's small, 290 pounds or whatever. He actually got up to 300 and won at the pro day. But I think he has something. So for me, it's out of those three guys.
Gotcha. I mean, here's the thing. Next pick's at 130. More than likely, whoever we take of those three, BB, Hall, and Braylon Allen, you're not going to get a shot at the other two.
I'm going BB.
You're going BB? Okay. You going BB? All right. So we're making the executive decision that we're ready for Tyler to make that move over to left tackle, and we're going to retool this interior with JPJ, BB, and we keep this thing moving there.
And you know what's crazy is BB got some potential at center. So you really talking about a lot of versatility on the interior.
All right. Well, hit my theme music. Pick number 93.
Good Lord.
Boom. Go with BB.
You know who dying right now inside?
Oh my God!
Oh God!
Oh, let's go!
Oh God!
good God.
Oh,
Make the
oh,
pick.
let's go!
Make the pick. We ain't got to
Oh
talk about it.
man!
Only thing we got to debate is Allen or Estime, but I don't even think, as much as I love
Yo.
Estime, Brandon Allen is above him. Or
Yo!
get it,
Oh,
pick,
the perfect trade back scenario, guys,
Pick it.
ladies and gentlemen. We trade back. We go with the O lineman. We make the hard choice. Look, dadgummit, Tyler, you're gonna go play left tackle. Look, we're probably not getting a shot at the other two guys, and we don't get a shot at Hall, obviously. But boy, you get that trade right, and you get the 93. You're still to get BB. We get to 130, and here's Brandon Allen sitting here right for you. Now let's think. Let's look at this. You've just said, right, two things they talked about going into the draft. We have to fix the run defense and run the ball better. You added JPJ, Cooper Beebe in that middle, with the hoss like Brandon Allen coming down the pipeline. Jesus. And to help you run, we did go get you an Edge and Cooper already as well too.
and
Get the theme
to me-
music spooning.
To me, Edge Cooper too is helping you with pass rush, which we know that's going to be needed, and then linebacker play because he's got versatility.
It's not even draft night. I got a tear in my eye.
God.
Boy, that was a good.
All right, now we're at 174. So now here's what we got left now. We're at 174, 233, 244 with the 130th pick. The Dallas Cowboys take running back Wisconsin, Braylon Allen. All right. Gotta start getting busy a little bit here, right? Gotta start looking at some things.
D tackle. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. McKinley Jackson is the pick, fellas.
Yeah. Talk to him.
So, all right. Now, I respect everybody in the media or whatever. They do their job. Hats off to them. But there's just too many people trying to put McKinley Jackson into the third round as Cowboys peoples because they know that Dallas needs a one tech type. I just don't see McKinley Jackson being a third round value. I don't even really see him being a fourth rounder. He's a fifth rounder on my board, and here we are with him available. I think it's perfect. I'm not going to expect too much out of him, but at least he's a big, wide body who can provide you what you need from that one tech. So I think you have him and Mozzie giving you that rotation there as your bigger guys. Man, this just makes sense. Like, I really do think McKinley Jackson is going to be closer to a fifth round player than he is a third round player, like a lot of people in the media are putting him right now. But we'll see.
Right. Pros real quick here for PFF. Quick one gap penetrating defensive tackle, effective arm over move, the slipperiest 330 pounder you'll see. The cons, gets moved easily by double teams, plays on the ground too much. Bull rush has a nice push due to quickness, but does not sustain displacement. Not an effective stunt player. And their review basically goes to is a slippery one gap penetrating defensive lineman who can play nose and 3-tech in a 4-3 scheme. A lack of arm length limits his pass rush / starter potential, but he can be as successful as a depth pass rusher in a rotation, which the Cowboys are looking for, that kind of piece.
That is the weirdest analysis that I've seen for a player. I haven't gone deep into their stuff like that, but I disagree with the pros and cons they put for the man.
Right.
It's like, to me, that it's like they're talking about somebody else.
Hey, that's what they said. That's why I wanted to read it, because I read it. I was like, okay. I'm like,
What's that receiver, though?
Yeah, I said, well, we can look around now. We can look around. You know, we can look around. Receiver. David Robinson, Kentucky. Casey Washington. Eunice, Griffin, White, Franklin, Patton. That's what you got left.
I like Bub Means a lot. I think Joshua Cephas is going to be a potentially dangerous guy. but man, give me the A&M kid.
Well, let's make it that. Oh, corner. Kalen King.
Man, he was once viewed as a first-round pick going into the 2023 season. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. happened. And then the Senior Bowl happened. Then the Combine happened. He just fell like a rock. That's a precipitous fall for a guy. To go from first to now day 3.
All right, let's pull the trigger on the. What?
That's a good edge right there. Those Murphy boys out of UCLA, they just know how to get to the quarterback. They know how to, and size wise, they don't fit the profile that Dallas would go for. The Alabama kid there's some stuff in his past, but I think you got to go with your need here.
Got to, yeah. I'm with that.
I like the Chris Boyd kid out of Northern Iowa. If he's there, I might double dip at defensive tackle.
All right, now you can kind of do whatever, right? So, you've replenished the offensive line. You got your wide receiver. You have your D tackle. You got a linebacker. And now if you want to double dip somewhere, you can. Interesting, Joe Milton's on the board here. Some teams are going to have him transfer to tight end is the word. So you can kind of start looking around and look at some depth pieces. Is there a little candy that's something that you like? Like for me, Jalen Ford would be that guy. I would double dip in linebacker for like a Jalen Ford type personally.
Do you think they would like Nathaniel Watson a little bit more than Ford? Because they have interest in both.
That's true,
but because Watson is the bigger guy. I think he can play a little bit more inside for you, but. Ford just seems to be like, if this was Dan Quinn, I would say easily it's going to be Ford. But I don't know quite what the new defensive coordinator likes.
How about safety?
My guy from Washington's here. Kenny Logan. Oh, my guy from Washington's gone. Okay. Yeah. Kenny Logan's a guy Tyler Owens people like.
Nope.
No. I mean, we're at 233, 244. Logan wouldn't hurt my feelings, but
D tackle.
I think there's other guys available. I like Ryan Watts. He can go be a cornerback / safety. He's 6'3", has the length. I'm looking through here. Still, okay. You say D tackle?
Yeah.
Double dip, I guess. Yeah. Double dip now.
I mean, the UAB kid, big body.
I wouldn't go him here.
Oh, wait, that's UAB. I mean, FAU. I'm sorry, Evan Anderson, FAU. Yeah, he's 6'3", 356. Yeah.
Who's the guy ahead of him on that board? I didn't see that.
Zion Lowe from Georgia, and then Marcus Harris from Auburn.
What wasn't he an official? Not official visit. A combine. I think Dallas had a formal meeting with that defensive tackle from Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going D tackle here for me, I'm taking Evan Anderson. This is where I'd be at.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there yet. I think I would go with that linebacker you were talking about.
You want to go Jalen Ford? You want to double dip there?
Yeah.
Sponey, you want to double dip D tackle? You want to double dip linebacker? Do what?
You got a visit with them 2 days ago, right, Ford?
I think so. Yeah. Firm. But
what does the chat think? They're talking.
I don't know. I'm on the other page. I'm not able to look at the chat. Hold on, let me come over here and look.
They're talking about Trice Knight still there at linebacker. He's off the board.
I like still.
Wallace.
Yeah, still at Maryland. That's not bad. Evan Anderson from Rome. Wallace isn't, man, dude. Wallace has been gone, bro.
Wallace gone. He was third.
Mendoza, Wrench King said, "Hey, Evan with McKinley would be fire."
Give Mendoza.
It's just needed now because of McKinley from. Man, look how late we are on the draft, and you only got three defensive tackles, baby. What's going on with Monzie Smith?
Yeah.
You know,
Like I said, the Washington kid. I mean, that's the linebacker group is nice.
The linebacker, yeah. I mean, Gant. Gant's there too from Toledo. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad.
Always come back together.
I would take any look. At
and Mendoza.
I'm happy out of these four.
And Mendoza, what's up? What you want? Don't tell us who not to take. Who you want to take?
Like I said, any four of these linebackers, I feel pretty good about at 233.
I want that Georgia kid. I bet. This is funny. We're over here in the last two picks, and now it's the hardest thing we have to do.
Tight end real quick.
The Hunter Nicky's mock draft was easy. Hunter Nicky's snatcher,
man. Okay, so honestly, if I'm fighting for somebody, it's Bub Means that I'm fighting for. He's the receiver out of Pitt.
Yeah.
He's got deep speed. He's a bigger, thicker body. A couple of years ago, Professor O put it out there about the type of receivers that the head coach typically goes for, talking about the profile. He fits that profile. Thick body, got some speed to him. I think he's a nice little deep threat. I think he's tough as nails. He'll go across the middle. He's good with some in-breaking routes. So I would fight for Bub Means in this position because there's multiple linebackers I think we can double dip on here in 11 picks from now. And we've been talking about trying to find that wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't know.
If you take Ford, does this spell maybe something dealing with Damone Clark? But you still have Damone Clark. You got Overshown. You be drafted. Oh my God, Cooper from A&M, and you got Kendrick on a 1-year deal. So do you need the linebacker right now, or do you go to another position?
Yeah, I go with the wide receiver position here.
Here's the reason.
Your number three position of need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The reason I would right here in this scenario, and I'll say I would in having this argument because I want a linebacker. Here's my thing. I feel good about any four of these guys.
Yeah.
I feel good about any four. Gant, Ulupashayo, Ford, Watson. I feel good about any four of these guys. Adversely, if we're talking about wide receiver and someone wants to pound the table, I mean,
Bub Means is that dude.
He would be the guy here, and after that, I mean, you could take a guy, but I mean, it's kind of clear cut. You have 11 picks. Are all 5 of those linebackers or 4 of those linebackers going to go? I mean, I'd roll the dice here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's where I would be at. As far as I mean, Joe Milton. I mean, like I said, I mean, if you want to get a quarterback, if you're a believer in Joe Milton, like I said, some people are of the mindset that he's going to transfer to tight end. I saw some of that. I don't know how true that is. Tyler Owens, Carter Bradley, another quarterback here. Tackle from North Dakota, Sandell. Austin Reed from Western Kentucky. Ryan Watts, like we talked about a little bit earlier. So,
I think I'd go Bub and then one of these linebackers. I think they would want the bigger guy who could play a little bit more of that inside, even though.
But you know what, though? That's not really true. That's not really indicative of Zimmer because Kendrick's not a big guy. Like, you kind of look throughout.
No, but I think with all of the guys that you have in house, they're not really big guys. And Damone Clark probably is your biggest at this point, and he's on that 1 year.
But I think, right. I think ultimately, though, looking at Zimmer and kind of saying that he wants the front seven to be bigger, but a lot of that is about the front line and the road from left to right on the line more so than the linebackers. He wants to eat up space with those guys and allow those linebackers to flow and get there quickly.
Yeah. Because I think you got a lot of outside guys right now, though, because Overshown, You really want him flowing. Same thing. You do same thing with Damone Clark. Same
Sure.
thing with the kid that we got from Texas A&M in the second round.
Right.
Those are more outside linebacker wills. You need somebody who can play a bit of that Sam, like a little bit stouter.
Well, let's go means here and let's see what it falls to us at 244 though, because again, there's multiple opportunities at the linebacker, but means right here, draft size profile and what we're looking for, checks all the boxes. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, and then that gets to pick 244. Did we get White? So do we still get a linebacker? Let's take a look. Linebacker.
You're the
Jalen Ford's on the board.
You're the linebacker coach.
Yeah, you got Ford. You got the Washington kid. You got Gant. But let's take a look at D tackle. Just to see. Still got Evan Anderson on the board there.
You don't need Anderson. I think O's comment is perfect. You got Mozzie, who they're gonna beef up again, and then you got Jackson.
Allegedly.
You got Jackson. You got your 2 D tackles. If anything, you needed more of a 3 techie guy. So the Georgia kid would make a little bit more sense.
Already there. Safety. Look at safety real quick. Select Kenny Logan. If you want to go safety, quarterback. Need a developmental guy.
After Stephen Jones' comments about Trey Lance.
All right.
They good.
Double dip, running back, double dip skis. No. Tight end.
Let's say Mayan Williams, running back. He's in this class.
Allegedly.
You talk about Kendall Man from Georgia.
I like Kendall Mitchell.
And he's off its lineman move you.
Big back though.
Yeah, I think Glaze. I think he's going to move inside though, but
right.
So I wouldn't go there.
All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and double dip at the linebacker. Well, let me look at edge just to see. Jeff Coated edge. Does that move y'all?
Is that his son or relative?
I don't know. I have no clue if he's related, but I know strong guy. Put in some work over there.
Arkansas too. That's Jerry's name.
Eric Watts is an intriguing kid. He's got some traits, but I wouldn't go that here. I think the linebacker that's available, 2 of them are better value. You the linebacker coach next.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd either be linebacker or Jeffco to be where I'd be at with what's remaining. That's where I would land. In that front. So for me, I like the guys. I like Jalen Ford personally. So Ford or Jeffco, either way you want to roll.
I'd go Ford.
Ford.
Okay. No bloodline. Got it. Boom. And let's see what the old we've earned 3 new awards. Sweet. They said we drafted Edgerrin Cooper. They said we should have took Roman Wilson. Get out of here. So they like B- for Powers Johnson, B for Cooper, C+ for BB. Brennan Allen gets us an A. McKinley Jackson a D, B+ for Bub, and a B+ for Jalen. Overall B.
I love it.
For real. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So, again, look, we had the conversation early going about the center. The conversation that we had going at center was, hey, you're saying there's an opportunity that Tyler's going to end up playing left tackle. We saw things played out with the round 2 pick. We get to round 3, opportunity afforded itself with what was on the board to finally get that trade. We talked about that earlier within the show. The Cowboys have to find a way to get back in the 4th round. Be great to get to a 3rd and a trade back from 1. Couldn't trade back from 1, too far. Nothing really at 56. We had something pop off for us at 87 to get to 93 to pick up a 4th round pick. Boom. We go Cooper BB. All right. We let the board fall to us. All right, Tyler, you're probably going to go play left tackle now. Then you're able to get a Brandon Allen because of the 4th round pick. and then you're able to stir up some more things defensively, getting your defensive tackle, wide receiver 6'2", 215, and adding another linebacker into that front seven for the Cowboys.
Got it.
So I mean, overall, if that's where it comes down to, I left that up there a long time, didn't I? My bad. Oh, I was on the other page. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if that's the haul that we walk away with, I'm completely fine with that. Sign me up for that right there.
Getting
you
that
fixed the running game. You've helped your defensive line. I think that's a pretty good point. If the Cowboys walk away with that haul,
yeah, you cover a lot of holes up. You covered up a whole lot of holes up. You know, and the thing is, we talked about being contributors and starters. I think you got a little bit more than that in this draft here. And another good exercise for it is, you know, instead of we always talked about trading the first round, trading backwards. You did it in the second round. Am I correct? Third round, you did it. And
we traded back in the third round.
Third round, so they still bought you that value, where you could use for this roster. I love it.
Yeah, and Dom, that middle of that offensive line.
You've restocked that offensive line, where even now in 25, if you're talking about this is Zach's last year, you already have a built-in interior, like, you know, versatile guys, whether it's Cooper Beebe, still got TJ Bass, and you have JPJ. Now those are your three guys starting there.
I mean, Spoon, you said earlier 4 starters, right? Mm-hmm. And then, as we talked about that, 2 starters and 2 contributors, major contributors. I mean, right? Powers. In the true to life, not that you start and you're in a rotation, but you're actually playing upwards of 80, 90% of the snaps. I mean, Jackson Powers and Beebe, that's probably 2 starters right there. We would expect that Cooper would be a huge contributor. Allen would be a huge contributor. I mean, there it is. There's the core 4, if you will.
Yeah, I just love this mock a lot more because we've seen a lot of mocks where they traded back in that first round and you was able to do it in the third round. So it's basically saying that we can still stand still in our 24 and pick the guy that's best for us and still able to get some more picks in the other round. That's what I love about this draft. And we hit on every pick so far, in my opinion.
And again, we talked about it, and it's just so funny that this mock draft happened the way that it did, because when we talked about earlier before we started the mock, it doesn't matter how they get an extra day 2 pick, just get it. Whether it was trading back from 1 or trading back from 2. We talked about trading up, right? Using some of your core and some of your day 3 picks, maybe future picks, just get back into day 2 somehow. And we talked about that beforehand. And we tried, right? We sat there. These things do happen in the draft. Sometimes you try to trade back. There's nothing there. Like, they tried. Look, the teams that would have come up wasn't working. But we stayed vigilant. We trusted the process. We stuck to the guns, right? And then opportunity presented itself in round 3, and it played out beautifully. So, this has by far been my favorite mock draft that we've done thus far, in general.
Honestly.
Yeah, technically, during the draft, you got about 5 minutes when it's a third or fourth round. 5 minutes about that time, and we was able to, in the war room, you got BB on the clock. Do we take it? We had a discussion about what we're gonna do with Tyler Smith. Do we stay at tackle? Is he going to guard? If we take BB, this guy's going there. And Dom also brought up the point that BB plays center too. If you want to try that out, so that conversation that we had, we all know at the war room, the front office, they're gonna have the same kind. When a player is available, it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna switch this lane? We take this guy here because this is a big thing. And our offensive line that was kind of questionable last year became a big strength in this draft. So, I love it.
Big thanks. Well, yeah, I tell you what, I got almost hyped in a real life draft whenever we made that trade and we passed on the running back. And I was like, oh. I was way too hyped for it. No ifs or buts. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, man, we appreciate y'all for rocking with us. I know we've been away for a while. Lots of things happen in real life that we had to kind of take care of and handle up. But we're back in the building, ready to get after it. We'll probably have another show before the draft. We're definitely going to be live during the draft. So make sure you hit the subs and everything else. Share the word. We're back in the building, and yeah, excited for the draft. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. With that being said, Smooth, last word for the night from you, brother.
What I always say? Oh my God.
Come on.
You're gonna dominate.
Time off.
You're gonna dominate and celebrate the draft. There you go.
You kind of. I don't know. You kind of stumbled on it, but you got shaking the dust off. We're shaking the dust off, right? Dom, go right ahead, sir.
I've turned over a new leaf. As of today, Jackson Powers Johnson is the kid that I want. Dark horse, Kingsley Suamaitea. Dark horse, Edrin Cooper. Be on the lookout.
10-4. Guys, with that being said, enjoy your weekend. Absolutely. Have fun. No matter what's always forward. Stay locked in. We'll be back next week to holler at y'all. Peace.